Easy Explain, the Stoicism of Epictetus, Part 2 of 5, Discourses, Book 1. So here we go. We're finally going to jump into the Discourses, which were the main works of Epictetus, recorded by his main pupil, Arian. And I'd actually like to start with a quote taken from Book 1 here. And Epictetus says, "What are we to do then? To make the best of what lies within our power and deal with everything else as it comes. How does it come then? As God wills." So I think this is a really good introductory quote to the Stoicism of Epictetus, because it really kind of sums up his Stoicism in the sense of us trying to make the best of what we can in our lives and kind of simply just dealing with everything else. So, along with this philosophy kind of comes this idea that, there's like a God's plan at work here. It's the will of God is at work. And, we can control some things. We can control a lot of things, specifically in how we react to certain events. But ultimately, there are going to be events that happen to us and in our life that are outside of our control. And those are the ones that we should just accept. For Epictetus, this doesn't seem to be too hard. To drop another quote by him from the first book of the Discourses. He says, "For a rational being, only what is contrary to nature is unendurable, while anything that is reasonable can be endured." So to sum that one up, essentially, if it's a natural thing, if it's happening naturally, and if you're rational, you can figure out a way to get through it. But unless it's an unreasonable thing, then it's going to be very hard to endure, right? So that's kind of the mindset. That's his perspective on how to adopt the Stoic character to actually practice Stoic reflection and his Stoic philosophy. So I actually kind of broke it down here in a little bit of an argument kind of structure, right? His logical argument. So if we think about what Epictetus is saying here, right? So if we are rational beings, and we are, right? Hopefully. And we live according to nature, if we live according to God's will, right? And if you kind of think about this, where he's coming from the ancient Greek perspective of the gods, and that even carries through to our understanding these days of deities, it seems pretty hard not to live according to nature and God's plan or God's will, right? So he kind of has us on those first two premises. We are rational, and we are going to live according to God's plan. So we should be able to endure anything that life throws at us, which would seem really good, right? But then there's always this question, right? This is a huge question. That sounds great, right, in theory, but what about when really awful things happen to you or to your loved ones, right? Like when bad things happen to good people, right? How do you justify that? How do you live with that? To this, Epictetus really leans into the God's plan idea, and he would say turn to providence, right? This is essentially accepting the will of God or accepting God's plan. And here's another quote from him from Book 1 of the Discourses. "From everything that comes about in the universe, one may easily find cause to praise providence if one possesses these two qualities: the capacity to view each particular event in relation to the whole, and a sense of gratitude. For otherwise one will either fail to recognize the usefulness of what has come about, or else fail to be truly grateful if one does in fact recognize it." So essentially what he's saying here is you need to possess these two qualities of viewing each thing as part of a bigger picture and being grateful for what you do have. And to Epictetus, this is a secret to happiness, right? This is the Stoic life. And he thinks this is great. But if you're still in denial, right? If you're like, I don't know if Stoicism is for me. I don't know what Epictetus is going on about here. One final quote coming out of Book 1 from him. And Epictetus says, "Nothing great comes into being all at once." So being Stoic is great, becoming Stoic is great, living the Stoic life is great, right? Practicing Stoicism, Stoic reflection, they're all great things. But even for Epictetus, it doesn't mean that they're easy. Right? He's saying here that happiness is achievable through Stoic reflection, but it will take time. It will not be easy. It will not come all at once. And for now, I hope that helps.